welcome to Neshama Soul Therapy. This week we're going to talk about what it means to take care of yourself and what does self-care look like. Self-care for a lot of people is a struggle. When you self-care, you're doing a loving act for yourself. That means on a day-to-day basis, you are going to have some things that you're doing to take care of yourself and your mental health and your physical well-being. Some of these things can include meditating for 10 minutes early in the morning and in the evening, or either or, eating proper nutritious meals, going out for a walk, doing half an hour of some kind of physical exercise, socializing, um, doing a hobby that you enjoy, that you have passion for, and making sure that you are not isolated and taking time off to just be still. These are really important concepts, but a lot of people struggle with this, right? A lot of the clients that come to me for therapy say, I don't know why I get into these situations. I don't know why it's so hard to love myself. I had a client that literally said this to me the other day. And a lot of it comes from a place of insecurity, fear of change, fear of what could happen in the future. So sometimes you get stuck in what I call a hamster wheel, going nowhere fast, like over and over again. And what happens is when you don't start taking care of yourself, you're going to start to feel tired, sad, low energy, a little bit more anxious than usual. When people take care of themselves, their anxiety levels go down, their mental health goes up, they are having fun, they're smiling, they're enjoying themselves. And as you can see, self-love is important. It's important in the workplace. When you have self-love, you prevent toxic behaviors. So whether it's in the workplace, whether it's at home, with your partner, all of these are very important. And loving yourself in a way kind of helps you create a place where you feel good and taken care of. So when you love yourself, you could see this in the workplace, especially because you're more confident in your abilities, right? You're able to do things without second guessing yourself, without feeling overwhelmed. You also make boundaries happen when you love yourself. You don't take on more than you can do, and you create a system where you can balance certain tasks. You get to them when you can get to them, and you delegate these tasks to other people. It's super important to sometimes delegate out. So if you're in a high power position and you feel overwhelmed and stressed, and your boss keeps putting stuff on your desk, at some point you have to do a little bit of reflection on, is this for me? Is this something that I can continue doing? Is this becoming too much? But when you love yourself and you're able to create those healthy boundaries, it becomes easier to market your strengths and identify your areas of growth. You're able to maintain a better work-life balance and know when to take a break to avoid burnout. You also know your worth, and you can advocate for better pay, for better benefits. If a job is not paying you what you're worth and they're demanding a lot from you and they're not paying and they're always making excuses, but they hire other people that are much less insignificant than you, that are not as competent as you, then you start to wonder, do they see you as valuable, and do you not love yourself enough to have that conversation, have that dialogue? People that love each other, love themselves, create a self-care for them that means that when they feel like they're not getting their needs met, they walk away from a toxic environment. Sometimes when you're in a relationship with a colleague or an employer, these things really do affect you mentally. And then you come home and you take it out on your spouse. You take it on your family members, your friends. You get frustrated, which is normal. A lot of people get frustrated. The part that really affects people is when they start feeling really bad about themselves. So these are a few things I wanted to bring up. When a person really notices that they're not practicing self-love, this can start to look like feeling invisible. It could feel like you're not happy unless everyone you're surrounded yourself with is. You're negating your feelings to accommodate others. You're avoiding confrontation at all costs, allowing others to demean you by staying silent, continuously apologizing for things that you really shouldn't be apologizing for. Um, Sometimes when we don't practice self-love, we just feel like we're always not doing the right thing. I actually had a couple recently. It was a mother and daughter client, And the mother was very defensive. And she was defensive because she was raised a certain way with parents that had certain expectations from her. These parents always felt like she wasn't doing her best enough. So they had a very authoritarian attitude towards her. She got a 99, she needed to get 100. Oh, she didn't do this a certain way, she had to do it again. And it instilled this inferiority complex, to always feel inferior, to continue to apologize, to not um, have a situation where she could communicate her needs, and accepting the blame from others, even though there's really nothing to blame. It happened to be that her daughter actually went off on her. And instead of telling her daughter, this is not appropriate, I am your mother, please do not raise your voice at me, we're not going to have a healthy conversation this way, I'll talk to you later, she took the blame and then kind of made it like she was always doing everything wrong. But this is coming from a place of insecurity, a place of not feeling good enough from her youth. And then you blame yourself for everything, right? And then you assume your responsibility for others' bad moods. This is so important because when you're not practicing boundaries and self-love and self-care, you're going to start to feel like a doormat. And it's very hard for you to get out of that cycle. So why do I call it getting out of the hamster wheel? It's because sometimes you have to make a change. And even though change is scary, you have to do it. When something feels uncomfortable, that's where growth occurs. And I am a therapist. I can say that I've experienced my own lessons in life. And so I've seen other people go through this as well. I have to, state the obvious, whether this is your family member, whether this is your friend, this is your partner, work colleagues, sometimes you have to communicate uncomfortable things in a way that will get the message across, where there's room to discuss and process and work towards something better. The point is not to allow things to build up where you can't handle anymore and your threshold is there and you're drowning. It is to create and instill balance in your life. Loving yourself creates self-care. When you love yourself, you create boundaries. You create habits that are healthy, that are going to continue to make you feel better. And you will seek out maybe spiritual advice, maybe guidance. You sit silently with yourself. Sometimes learning when to just walk away from toxic is even better for you. But if you can't do that, then you have to have honest conversations that would lead to change. Whether or not they want to meet you in the middle is where you guys have that conversation. And if you're not feeling like your needs are met in the middle, then you have to walk away from toxic. We see this a lot in the Bible, where certain family members had to separate from each other because it wasn't good what was happening. But then you see those same family members reconnect at different periods of time with invaluable lessons of growth and moving forward in life. And so we utilize these different attributes from the Bible to incorporate into our own lives as well. This is a moral and the guidance in your life. And when I say you have to practice self-care, because if you don't, you will burn out. And when you burn out, you're not good to anyone else and not yourself. This is where chronic sickness comes in. This is where people fall into depression and can't get out of it. This is when people are susceptible to common colds, body aches, and other things that become inflamed and continue to occur. When you practice self-care, you start to love yourself more, and you realize you cannot accept crumbs from a cake. Either you're having that slice yourself or you're not having it at all. And that's important for people to understand. And why I do therapy the way I do it is I look at the soul and what's affecting the soul, whether it's family, friends, your lover, medical conditions, mental health conditions, spiritual conditions that affect you. All of these come into play. And when you're practicing self-care from a place of love and understanding that these things help you become a better person, you start to grow and flourish. I hope this week's little podcast vibes with you. And if you need to reach out and you want individual guidance, please reach out. info@neshamasoultherapy.com. I look forward to hearing from you and getting all your comments and feedback. Thank you and have a great weekend. Take care.